I've got a nice little area over here picked out to camp for the night. All that's left to do is to put on some gear and do a little bit of time traveling. The Nomad, which I'm very happy that Michael, my good friend, loaned me for this trip. And then once we find a good spot, we might spend a while on it with the Nomad. But right now, I'm gonna get underwater. Alright, the only two finds from today so far, but this one is actually an incredibly unique Megalodon tooth. It has a shovel tip. So instead of coming to a direct point, the point's kind of rounded for the tip. It looks like it has the tip serration as well, which is super rare. Well, it's really cool. Let's see if I can show it. That is very deep red patination / coloration. So this is all iron sulfide stain on top of it. We remove that, we've got a very, very pretty Megalodon tooth. And I guess this lesser white tooth ain't bad too. It's about 2.5 inches. Good little guy. I'm gonna do a little bit more hunting, then we'll set up camp, and we'll see if we find anything more tomorrow. But we've already got the trip makers, and I cannot wait to clean up that red tooth. It's probably gonna be spicy. But for now, I'm gonna go do a little bit more exploring. I'm officially exhausted. I changed into my Fossil Hunter shirt. I'm gonna get some sleep, Hopefully we find some more stuff tomorrow. The only other thing we found was that. Good morning, world. I have awoken in my goth punk rock phase. It's not a fun night's sleep. Thankfully it cooled down like 10 or 15 degrees by 1 a.m. So I did fall asleep. Weird dreams. But we're gonna get this kayak loaded up, check out a couple of spots. We might find something new today, I'm hoping. We're doing some scouting. But I'm mainly gonna look for exposure formation of this Miocene area. Miocene is just a time period between 5 and 23 million years ago. And that's the time period in which Megalodon lived. And we're going to be looking for geologic formations that are that old and that have marine fossils, because I don't think we have enough flow to really find much, but we should be able to find the formations they are coming out of and be able to check them again in the future. We're going on a little walk to the spot right now that I can't get through because there's a bunch of portages, but we'll check it, and then we're going to be doing all that scouting we talked about for new spots to come back to. And, you know, there could still be something in there, so we'll figure that out. It's hard to tell when you're underwater, but that is either a close to 3-inch great white or a close to 3-inch lesser white. The thing is huge. If that's great white, that's better than that Meg I found earlier, although that Meg does have that patho tip. But I'll get this nice camera rolling, I'll strap this back on my head, and we'll go take an actual look at it. Holy crap, that's a big one. Lesser white. That is not a tiny tooth. Whoa. Close to 3. I don't think it's there though. It looks like that tooth is actually 3 inches. So roots over the edge on the 7. That's the 8 1-inch, 9 2-inch, 3, and it's got a decent amount of clearance on that 3. So I'm pretty confident that's actually a 3-inch tooth. I'm taking a break from the video just to illustrate how large this lesser white tooth actually is. This is my largest great white tooth in my collection, and it measures 2.92 inches. For comparison's sake, this is about the average size of an adult great white shark tooth. These range between 1.7 over here and 2.3 inches. These teeth would be similar in size to that great white shark that washed up on a Florida beach recently, which was about 15 feet in length and weighed 1,500 pounds. As you can see, there is quite a size difference between this incredibly large lesser white and these average size great whites. It even dwarfs our largest great white of the trip. A 2.5-inch monster great white is tiny in comparison to this lesser white. If it weren't for the slightly acid-eaten root on this tooth, it likely would have been the same size as the largest principal tooth belonging to the jaw of a 19-foot, 6-inch great white in the collection of Dr. Gordon Hubble. The largest tooth in his jaw is 2.64 inches, which still pales in comparison to this 2.92-inch monster. In a previous video, we restored a jaw belonging to a 13-foot
short fin mako. The biggest tooth in that jaw was 2.3 inches. This was not a tiny fish.
This thing.
It's insane, to be honest.
It could swallow me whole.
So to think about a jaw that would have had 3.26 inch principal teeth would have been a very, very large fish that existed in the same waters that Megalodon did. But before I ramble on any further, I think it's time to get back to our regularly scheduled programming.
All right, we got another mako. Well, Lester, wait, I gotta stop saying that. Habit, man. All right, let's grab this. Oh, it's a great white. That's a great white shark tooth. Shame that the root, but that's a great white. G-dub, cool. Great white. Hanging out in the log right now. It's pretty deep in there, so gotta hold my breath. Whew, not bad though. Great white and a big mako. I'll take that any day. See if we can find something else though. Looks like we got a Meg this time. Let's see. All right, let's go grab that. Looks like we hit a little trifecta. Great white, lesser white Meg this morning. Let's go recover that Meg. That could be exhausting. Do that a few times now. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that would be a really nice one with just that root ding. Dang. I'll take it though. Not bad for just some free diving, but man, is that exhausting. We still need to make our way back to where we put in, maybe find some more stuff. And I don't know, it's been pretty good so far. Freaking heartbreaker. Damn it, that's a heartbreaker. Oh, that one is so sweet too. What the heck? Damn. There's more though. There's gotta be more. That's a wide tooth. Okay, still got 19. Good. I'm latching. Oh, I hope that there's no weird things going on with it. Because that'll be our best tooth of a trip. So far, at least. Alright, let's check this out. Oh, that's sweet. Wide. Oh, little root. Damn, into the corner, but that is a wicked tooth. Look how wide it is. Holy crap. Gosh, this is a heartbreaker of heartbreakers. A Paratodus benedini. Those are so rare. So rare that that's the most complete one I've found. Oh man. Oh well. Big, great weight. Sweet. What I just moved right there, I thought it was a whale ribbon. That is a walrus tusk. One of the nicest I've seen, not just on pictures. Let's get the camera out. We'll take a look at this. Joe is gonna flip his It's perfect. That to me is like finding a 6-inch Megalodon tooth. That's better than finding a 6-inch Megalodon tooth. Look at where we were at. There was a freaking walrus that lived and died right here. Like we're in the beginning of the Tifa. Like this is dry land. This is temperate trees. A walrus lived here. A walrus. Let's take another look. Alright, we're picking it up this time. That's incredible. That's the root socket. That is so unbelievably incredible. Perfect too. That's one of my favorite all-time finds. All time. One of my rarest finds too. Well, I know what my rarest discovery of 2023 video will be. What the heck? It just got even better. I have the other one. They've got to be from the same animal. We've got both of them and they're both perfect. This is absolutely one of my favorite all-time finds ever. Holy crap. Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. Look at that. I am beyond words right now. Now, just get some context. This isn't your normal modern walrus. This is a very old walrus, Pliocene in age. Really, really cool and incredibly rare find. Let's go put it with the other one. I cannot risk damaging these. I have to be super careful with both of them on this trip. Those are so impressive. I'm gonna have to be very careful getting those out of here safely. We also got a couple great whites and that heartbreaker Benedini. Would have been my first whole one, but that outshines everything on this trip by far. The sky is starting to get a little bit angry out here. My number one goal right now is going to be getting these home safely. So I used this jankety knife that I found in Florida while freediving to cut out a bunch of foam and fit the 2 tusks in it so they'll be able to travel safely. Don't worry, I'm gonna pick all this up, take it with me. I'm not gonna leave it behind, obviously, but those should be safe like that. And then those teeth, I'm gonna fill up some water, put it in there, and then keep everything in there, and the water should keep the teeth protected. But woo-wee, that is sweet. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder echoing in the background. That is basically as much hunting as we can do. I'm in the kayak, I'm exhausted. We've got a long ways to get home. We already got rain on once, and the thunder's coming back in, so let's get out of here safely. I can't be greedy. We already got something amazing, and I really want to talk about it with y'all. Okay, welcome to my workshop for the very first time. You can ignore the wood stuff going on. We still got a few projects and a freaking green screen, but right in front of me, we do have our walrus tusks from the trip. Not these tusks, those are mammoth tusks, but these bad boys. My goal for the next few minutes of this video is to discuss how I am so confident that this is a walrus tusk, and not just a walrus tusk, an extinct species of walrus. And then I want to spend a little bit of time talking about how unique and cool of a find this actually is. But first, it's time for some shameless self-promotion. We have a website, and we just listed a bunch of fossils on that website. So if you're interested in helping support the channel, buying a gift for someone, or just adding to your own fossil collection, you can go to the link in the description below at diggingscience.com to own your own piece of history. Now, back to the video. First thing we need to address, why am I so confident that this right here actually belongs to a walrus? After all, when bones from this extinct animal were originally discovered in North Carolina, paleontologists actually thought that they belonged to a large toothed whale. They go on to describe the holotype specimen as a very large tooth, much mutilated and black in color. These scientists went on to give the animal the formal genus name Ontocetus, which roughly translates to large whale. And thanks to the principle of priority, which is a scientific principle that establishes the correct name, scientific name for an animal, is the oldest known name that applies to it. So that means that just because of a couple of fossil whale ear bones found in association with this animal, we're going to incorrectly refer to it as a large whale for as long as these principles apply. So given this case of mistaken identity, how do we know that the tusk that we found is actually from a walrus, and more specifically, an extinct walrus, and not a very large whale tooth like this? Now, normally the best way to identify a walrus tusk is to look for the presence of a globular osteodentine core. In the video next to us, you will see a fossil walrus tusk segment found in Central Florida by my good friend Michael from I Hunt Dead Things. You can pretty apparently see what that inner texture actually looks like. Now, unfortunately, or rather fortunately for us, our tusks are in good enough shape that no part of that inner core is visible. So we're going to have to rely on some other diagnostic features to confirm that this is a walrus tusk and not, like we said, a big whale tooth. There are two other diagnostic features that we can use to identify this as a walrus tusk, and these two features are what were most apparent to me in the field. The first
is that the cross section of the root of the tooth is going to be oval in shape. This is going to differentiate it from most whales, especially the large whale tooth that we had here as an example. And you're going to look for what is a distinct fluting pattern into the tooth itself. These are kind of natural grooves that are very diagnostic of walrus tusks and are pretty apparent in our example. Now that brings us to the big ticket question though. How do we tell that this is from an extinct walrus and not the modern walrus? Well, we can use science to find out. So despite Emmons walrus being approximately 15% larger than modern walruses, they had slightly smaller and more aggressively curved tusks. And that's going to be the important thing we're going to look at in positively IDing this tusk. And that is because we can quantify that difference by only taking 4 measurements. The first of which are just the height as well as the width of the cross section of the tooth. Our next 2 measurements are going to be the width as well as the height of this tooth. Those first 2 measurements will basically tell us how much of an oval shape the root has, and the last 2 measurements will allow us to calculate what the radius of the arc of curvature is for the tusk. We can now see where our tusk plots on this scatter plot. We can see it, our little specimen right here, as this red dot. And thanks to the work of a bunch of different paleontologists over time, we can see how our little red dot, our point on this scatter plot, compares to a bunch of measurements taken of modern walruses. And those should appear well over here. So now we can tell that our specimen plots outside of the known modern walruses that they at least measured for this specific study. They also measured a bunch of extinct walrus tusks from Emmons walrus and plotted it on this same graph. So let's now see where our point compares to the extinct walruses. Okay, so what does this graph actually tell us now that we've plotted everything? Well, it tells us with some pretty strong confidence that our tusk is definitely not modern and that it is, with as much certainty as we can apply with the information we have, belonging to the extinct walrus, Emmons walrus. Personally, I think that this is an incredibly cool fossil. Typically when you think of walruses, you think of them being surrounded by water and ice in the Arctic. But fossils from this animal have been found along the European coastline. They've been found in Morocco, and they've been found all along the southeastern seaboard. Now, paleontologists believe that they use the North Atlantic gyre as a migration route, and that's why you find fossils commonly from this animal in those 3 locations. But I find it hilarious because to me, I like to think that this guy would rather be hanging out in Florida with spring breakers, if it still existed, than living in the Arctic with its modern extant cousin. Now, despite the coolness factor, the specimen that we discovered offers little to no real scientific value. But I'm very excited that through it, both you and I were able to learn something unique about this planet's past. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to help support the channel, you can go check out our website and buy yourself or a friend the very own fossil. And as always, keep on digging science. Oh man, we went through that entire video and I never showed you how pretty some of these teeth turned out. We're going to start with my favorite Megalodon tooth from the trip. This one is just an absolute stunner. By far had the best color patination of any tooth that I found. Just wicked deep red colors from the iron oxide staining and incredibly sharp serrations. Just an overall A+ quality tooth. The next tooth is this one. This one was the one that we had, the red. We could see it peeking through. It ended up being weird, like almost splotches of color mixed in, kind of calico. I really like this tooth, and it did end up having the tip. So really cool Megalodon tooth. Also going to stay in my personal collection. Actually, all 4 of these teeth are mine. The coolest tooth, though, might just be this Paratotus. Joe restored it. Normally I don't care too much for restoration, but he did an incredible job, and since I'm keeping this one in my personal collection, I really don't mind the restoration on it. This is a really once in a lifetime kind of tooth from these locations. And then finally, this lesser white tooth. I did not expect it to have this incredible, like deep red, almost purple patination to it. Just really stunned me when I cleaned it up. Definitely keeping all 4 of these teeth. This ended up being a little bit longer than I thought it would be, but this is for the shark tooth lovers. Really pretty fossils.